Donald Trump continues to hide and destroy evidence and cover up more information regarding the Epstein files, and specifically his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, his appearance in the Epstein files. And what he's hoping is that we all just forget about it because of the massive distraction that is the very serious war in Iran that Donald Trump started. We have some data points, of course. We know that Donald Trump's regime has briefed members of Congress and told them in no uncertain terms when Donald Trump's regime officials were pressed that Iran did not pose any clear and present risk of attacking the United States. Any statements made to the press to that effect were utterly false. In addition, we know that Donald Trump is suffering from severe paranoia right now. In a very frantic way, he keeps calling members of the press to try to justify this war against Iran, which the American people despise and which the American people are calling, as we are here on the MeidasTouch Network, the Jeffrey Epstein War, or Operation Epstein Fury. I mean, he recently called corporate news reporter Jonathan Karl to tell him, I got him. I got him before he got me. They tried twice. I got him first, Jonathan. I got him first. Referring to the Ayatollah, and Donald Trump continues to think about the Ayatollah trying to kill him. And so Donald Trump just put the United States in a war that may be a never-ending war against Iran, where we've already had at least 3 of our service members killed, and that number is expected to rise. And Donald Trump says that number is expected to rise. And the paranoia, you also know, is there because, again, he refused to leave Mar-a-Lago all weekend. While the United States is now at war, he had like his staffers there in the sensitive compartmented information facilities they built at Mar-a-Lago. Like they were like wearing their Apple watches, which is against SCIF rules. He refused to even go to Washington, D.C. while America was at war. He's scared. He's refused to brief the American people. And here's the big tell as well with the intersection of the Epstein files with Donald Trump's invasion of Iran or attack on Iran. Where the hell were the Clinton depositions, right? You had Bill and Hillary Clinton. This is all related. Bill and Hillary Clinton, they wanted their depositions to be done in a public hearing, but Donald Trump had ordered MAGA not to do it in public because he was terrified. And then remember, during the depositions of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, you had these MAGA Congress members like Lauren Boebert taking videos and photos of them, which were against the rules that MAGA proposed. And so Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton were like, look, if you're going to start taking videos of us and photos and giving it to right-wing influencers, can we please just bring the press in here and let's do a deposition in public in front of the press so these MAGA Republican Congress members can't run out and lie about what went down in the deposition. So what happened? You had James Comer and Nancy Mace and Anna Paulina Luna and Lauren Boebert and the entire MAGA crew. After the depositions of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, what do? They rushed out. And then they started saying, Bill Clinton exonerated Donald Trump, total exoneration. And then James Comer posted on his social media, Clinton exonerates Donald Trump. I'm just trying to understand this. Like, y'all hate Clinton, but now Clinton you use as the character reference for Donald Trump. There's no consistency with these MAGA people, but that's not what Bill Clinton said. He didn't exonerate Donald Trump. Quite the contrary. Bill Clinton said that Donald Trump said that he had a fallout with Epstein to Clinton over a real estate transaction. And we at the MeidasTouch Network pointed out what that transaction was a very long time ago, years ago, when we've been covering the Epstein files on the MeidasTouch Network. Remember what I've been saying? Focus on that real estate transaction. 2004, Donald Trump outbids Epstein in a foreclosure sale of Abe Gossman's mansion on West Palm Beach. Donald Trump buys it for $41 million, then sells it to a Russian oligarch 4 years later for $95 million. Epstein then accuses Donald Trump of shenanigans regarding that transaction with the Russian oligarch. Accusations flew. Was it money laundering? Was it other improprieties with this Dmitry Rybalov Russian oligarch? Then Donald Trump had the falling out with Epstein over a real estate deal, because that's what happens with these Epstein class people. So we have the Donald Trump and his regime refusing to release the depositions now. I mean, days and days and days pass before the depositions can be released. They're supposed to be released immediately. Then Donald Trump immediately rushes into a war and doesn't release these depositions, which we should all see publicly. He has his MAGA say, see, Donald Trump is exonerated. Just think about literally right before the bomb started going off in Iran, you had the MAGA Republicans hold a press conference and said, Donald Trump is exonerated. James Comer held that press conference and said, Donald Trump is exonerated. Then boom, the bombs go off. In my opinion, and I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, you can have a different opinion than me. This was calculated and coordinated, and it was done that way, at the same time. Now, in the past 24 to 48 hours, we're seeing corporate news and other large news outlets, even like New York Times, they're catching up to some of the reporting we've been doing on the MeidasTouch network. The New York Times reporting how Donald Trump's DOJ during his first administration intentionally refused to do investigations of Epstein's Zoro ranch in New Mexico. Remember, that's the Zoro ranch. That's a ranch that Epstein bought in 1993. He had till the time he died. There was a lot of sex trafficking going on at that ranch. There were rumors that there was an incinerator at that ranch. Bodies may have been buried at that ranch based on what we've been reading in the files. And Donald Trump's DOJ gave a stand-down order to the New Mexico Attorney General in 2019 and 2020. Do not search that. Do not do investigations there. Stay away. We've got it. And then Donald Trump's DOJ did absolutely nothing after giving a stand-down order to New Mexico Attorney General and to other officials there. And so the New York Times article, just so you can see it, again, it's consistent with all of the reporting that we've done here. Epstein's New Mexico ranch gets scrutiny at last, but it may be too late. And it may be too late as well, because that ranch has since been sold to Don Huffines, a MAGA politician whose family made a lot of money starting in the 1920s, opening up one of the first automobile dealerships. And then Huffines became a real estate guy, became a Texas state senator, where he was a big proponent of normalizing relations between the United States and Russia. Don Huffines took a trip to Moscow in 2018. Donald Trump, on the same day we went to war with Iran, or maybe right before that, Donald Trump posted on his social media that he strongly endorses Don Huffines for the state comptroller position in Texas, that Don is a loyal MAGA guy, and he's always been there. Don Huffines is turning that ranch, Zoro Ranch, Epstein's ranch, into a Christian retreat for kids. And there's apparently already construction underway. And so will you be able to even investigate what went down there, given the time that's passed, given what we know about the Trump cover-up during his first administration? And has there been any demolition or construction work to turn the Zoro Ranch into the San Rafael Ranch, is what they're calling it, in order to make it a kids retreat, a kids Christian retreat, or a Christian retreat in general? Now, as this war with Iran rages on, a lot of people are taking notice that this is the Jeffrey Epstein war. This is about the Epstein class going to war. And so you have, for example, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy. He writes, the Epstein class's kids won't die in this war. Poor family kids will. Billionaires won't suffer. Middle-class families will pay more for everything. And for what? For a different hardline cleric to run Iran than the one who was about to die soon anyway. Remember, the Ayatollah was in his mid-80s. He was out the door anyway. And lots of people believed if you just let him die naturally, then automatically, not automatically, but the movement, the trends in Iran were for a younger generation to modernize and to move away from the Sharia law and from the extremism and from all of that you had in Iran. And now with the murder of the Ayatollah and almost turning him into a martyr there, and it's had the reverse effect, many people are saying.
Ever wake up sweaty, freezing, or just uncomfortable? The temperature in your bedroom can make or break your sleep. That's why I switched to Miracle Made sheets. They're inspired by NASA technology and use silver-infused temperature-regulating fabric to help you sleep perfectly all night long. Miracle Made sheets feel just as good, if not better, than sheets you'd find at a 5-star hotel, but without the steep price tag. Smooth, breathable, and ridiculously comfortable. Thanks to their antibacterial silver technology, Miracle Made sheets stay cleaner and fresher up to 3 times longer than regular sheets. That means fewer odors, fewer wash cycles, and way less laundry. All that hidden bacteria in regular sheets, it can clog your pores and cause breakouts. Miracle Made's antibacterial design helps you sleep cleaner and clearer night after night. Miracle Made sheets are crafted with NASA-inspired silver-infused fabric that helps regulate your body temperature. Hot sleeper, cold sleeper, it doesn't matter. These sheets help keep you in the comfort zone all night long. Upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas to try Miracle Made sheets today. You'll save over 40%, and when you use the promo code Meidas, you'll get an extra 20% off plus a free 3-piece towel set. They make for an amazing gift, and with a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk. That's trymiracle.com/Meidas, code Meidas at checkout. Thanks to Miracle Made for sponsoring this episode.
In Iran, you have an official there who's also a professor, did an interview on Al Jazeera. And one of the things that he mentioned that, he said, well, the United States has demonstrated that they're basically a bunch of Epstein predators. And when you have our country being run by Donald Trump, an Epstein class predator, someone who's actually been found civilly liable for sexual assault, who goes out there and brags about sexually assaulting women, whose home was used as a location for sex trafficking, right? Mar-a-Lago was used to sex traffic Virginia Giuffre when she was an underage girl by Epstein, right? When you have all of that, you now have Iran saying to its people, look, these are sexual predators and deviants. Look at Donald Trump. Look what you see in the Epstein files. That's what they're saying in Iran. Here, play this clip.
Where do you see this going? Is there an off-ramp for Iran?
I think what will happen is that even if the United States is able to kill illegally Iranian leaders, the next generation of Iranians, the Iranians that did not see American atrocities in Iran before 1979, some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American, those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government, and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls. This is the government that we are witnessing. They're going to fight back against that government, and they're going to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran will live many years after America destroys itself.
Now, when we look at some of the data as well, we see that over 50%, according to the latest YouGov poll, believe that Donald Trump was involved in Epstein crimes. Just the poll. So to be clear, I'm expressing overall my opinions, which I'm allowed to do under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution here. So I'll just make that blanket statement right there. But the American people believe that this was a cover-up and that Donald Trump is implicated. You have that growing aspect. We know that they are hiding terabytes and terabytes of documents. We know that they're not releasing the depositions of the Clintons on time, and they refuse to release those when they should have released those immediately after. And here are some of the developments as well as the paranoia eats Donald Trump away. You've got Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna says he's now got the votes to compel Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to be deposed. Let's play this clip.
We have the votes to subpoena Lutnick. I don't believe we have the votes right now to subpoena President Trump because the Republicans control the House, and I don't think they would vote with us on that. But when Robert Garcia is chair of the Oversight Committee, we will have those votes. And the Clinton rule means that Donald Trump and his family members should testify. By the way, he should do it voluntarily. I mean, he should look at what President Clinton did. He answered every question. Why can't Donald Trump do the same? There's this question of these 3 FBI interviews. There's someone who made allegations against Donald Trump that she was sexually abused as a minor. I want to be very clear. There's no evidence whether that's true or not, but there were allegations made. One of those witness interviews was released. 3 of them are hidden by the Justice Department. Why are they hidden? When will they be released? These are the types of questions Donald Trump needs to answer.
And one of the things that he mentions as well, Congressmember Khanna, that is that Donald Trump has now established the President Clinton precedent, which means Clinton gets deposed, Donald Trump gets deposed, Hillary gets deposed, even though she's nowhere in the files and never even met Epstein. Melania, who's met Epstein, who said very positive and glowing things about him and Ghislaine that we read in the emails and the files. Melania gets to be deposed. The Epstein precedent, they're calling it. Here, play this clip.
Action.
Let me talk to you about one of the big headlines before the strikes against Iran this week, the fallout over the Epstein files. As you well know, former President Bill Clinton testified before the House Oversight Committee behind closed doors, saying, quote, he had no idea of the crimes that Epstein was committing. Do you have any outstanding questions for President Bill Clinton about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, Congressman?
When the transcript comes out, I think people will see that he answered every question. I actually think they'll see that some of the Democrats asked him tougher questions than even the Republicans. And he sat there. He didn't take the fifth. He answered every question fully. And the American people will be able to decide on what they believe. The point, though, is that President Clinton has set a precedent, a new Clinton rule. That means that Donald Trump should do the same, answer the questions. Howard Lutnick should do the same. I'm working with a Republican actually to subpoena Howard Lutnick next week, and I believe he will come before the committee. And every person who went to that island or who corresponded with Epstein about going to his mansion should be called under oath to tell us what they knew.
And by now, you know, the great reporting by Roger Sullenberger, by NPR and others that found that from the DOJ database, there are lots of interviews from witnesses that are missing, lots of things that involve Trump in the files that have gone missing, that were never published in the first place. And we know that there are probably millions of documents that have not been produced. Democratic Congress member who's running for Senate, Chris Papa, says, let's be clear. This is illegal. Congress voted to release all the Epstein files, not just the ones that don't implicate Trump. The Justice Department needs to release the missing pages now. I also want to give a hat tip to my good friend, Brian Tyler Cohen. I love Cohen. I think he's great. Brian Tyler Cohen. And Brian Tyler Cohen says the following. He says, he goes on News Nation, and their right-wing propagandist host tries to attack Brian Tyler Cohen. This is why people don't like corporate news. So he tries to attack him and goes, why are you trying to talk about the Epstein files? We don't care. There are much bigger deals out there. And Brian Tyler Cohen's like, you don't think it's a big deal that the president of the United States is covering up a child sex trafficking ring? You don't think that it's a big deal that the pedo cabal is located in the White House? Like, if you don't think that's a big deal, then what the hell are we doing? You don't think that's a big deal? By the way, I hate shows with this format. I just don't like the yelling and I don't have the patience for it. I like to give you fact. But Brian Tyler Cohen just does an excellent job right here. And I'm such a big fan of his. Here's what Brian Tyler Cohen says. Let's play this clip.
Given the fact that Trump himself is named in the Epstein files 38,000 times, do you think he should at least testify in the same way that Bill and Hillary Clinton did?
There are multiple people who have testified already in these depositions who have said that the president is not implicated in any kind of crime. And even today,
wouldn't you want to hear from the guy? Wouldn't you want to hear right from the horse's mouth?
I think the president has much bigger issues to deal with. And even today, President Bill Clinton said that he believes the president.
Bigger issues than being implicated in a pedophile ring?
We started the show talking about the Epstein files.
I think it's
interesting that we're now diverting away from the facts on local Democrats letting criminals out of prison who are then going and murdering people at bus stops and on the train on the way home. But I want to get to this.
I think it's a pretty big issue when you have the sitting president of the and frankly, if the president was a Democrat and he was implicated in the biggest sex trafficking ring in the United States in the history of this country,
I think the word implicated is pretty strong. And I think
how would you know? But how would you know if he doesn't testify?
Because you can read the documents, you can read the emails, and this isn't just about President Trump.
But we have 3 million documents that haven't been released.
Yes, you can. The Epstein thing is a distraction. Is a distraction from what's actually happening from this story that happened just today, where we have an illegal immigrant from West Africa.
You brought up the idea of a registered sex offender.
Yeah, registered convicted sex offender, not the president who was named in files with no evidence at all of criminal wrongdoing. Those are two very different things. But I want to get back to the news.
Transparency. Why wouldn't you want some transparency?
There's been plenty of transparency, which is why President Trump signed the legislation to put out the documents.
Do you support the James
Coverup has much more important issues
in front of the?
Look, we're completely off base here talking about the Epstein files. I want to ask you this question about what happened in Fairfax County just tonight. We now know.
So there you have it, folks. The walls closing in on Donald Trump and his despicable regime. Paranoia is setting in on his dark past. We'll keep you posted every step of the way here at the MeidasTouch Network. And thank you all so much for watching.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.